Speaking of falling flat, I'm going to transition into AEW Dynamite. Kevin, this now, look,
Yes.
a lot of things get said, right? Like,
Right.
and I mean, our show, we've discussed the AEW particularly, last like 6 months especially. There's a lot of things they've done, a lot of behind the scenes, Tony Khan's meltdowns, and who they've signed, and yada yada. We've discussed all this. We're not going to deep dive into much of that anymore. I turn on AEW Dynamite, right? Because obviously we're a wrestling podcast. I'm, trying to be in the loop with everything. I'm trying to watch as much as I can here to be as informed for you guys as great listeners and to be fair to you as a co-host, Kevin, so we can actually discuss wrestling and have better analyses of this stuff. I'm watching babyface Chris Jericho in 2024, a guy with a litany of allegations, someone who there was, I mean, obviously the MVP cruise and the whole thing where Jericho was scurrying to the elevator saying, I don't fight jobbers. There was that. But this is the guy, Chris Jericho, who everything with the Kylie Ray situation that AEW and Tony Khan has seemingly just swept under the rug and not addressed. You got Chris Jericho liking tweets saying, well, you better keep that same energy you have to Chris Jericho for Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar. You're Jericho out here liking tweets like that. I'm like, okay, hold on. So this Chris Jericho, who 2 weeks ago was having Judas played to drown out boos and NBA chants during a brawl, this Chris Jericho is working a 10, 12-minute match, just a singles match as the babyface on Dynamite against Mark Fletcher, this Australian mid-carder from Ring of Honor. I'm watching this going, this is so tone deaf from Tony Khan and like Chris Jericho. Why is this happening? It's seemingly, Kevin, and what I took away from Dynamite is basically how they book shows now is whoever's in Tony Khan's ear the most, whoever's loudest in Tony Khan's ear the week before is getting the TV time. I'm watching Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Hardy at what 50 or whatever he is, with everything Jeff Hardy's been through in 2024, a guy who was most relevant 16 years ago, and ever since it's been tumultuous turmoil. And I mean, he's here today, God bless him, but it's 2024, Jeff Hardy. He's wrestling John Moxley in the opening match.
Yep.
A Moxley who looks like he's 55 because all the things Moxley's put himself through physically and all that. He looks so old now. So I'm watching that. Jeff Hardy's having like a pen stuck through his earlobe. I'm like, what are they doing? Why? Chris Jericho, he's working the babyface role with everything considered. He's hitting moves. The crowd's barely into it. Like the crowd's sort of sitting on their hands. They pop at points when there was like a good counter or a cool move. They're like, oh yay, but they were just sort of like that. And this is the AEW product in 2024. This is the Dynamite show because realistically, Collision, Rampage are C shows. Like not much of meaning happens on those shows, which we discuss in this podcast. I don't think one thing's happened on one of those shows in 6 months at least, where we thought, Kevin, we've got to address Collision, we've got to address Rampage. Like Collision hasn't been like that since CM Punk left. So Kevin, I'm sat here watching babyface Chris Jericho versus Mark Fletcher in an 11-minute match on Dynamite. I'm just like, this is so tone deaf. Like, what is the purpose of this match? Why are they doing this? Why is Chris Jericho working this match as a babyface? Is no one backstage going to Chris Jericho or going to Tony Khan going, look, even Twitter, which is like your biggest diehard crowd of AEW fans for the most part, most of Twitter hates Chris Jericho or just it doesn't care to see him. Right. One of the two.
Right.
And this is who you're shoving out there to work like this, like Don Callis' stable has to run the gauntlet of Jericho. Next week, Jericho's facing Takeshita. And they tried to make that match the big deal. Like, pal, Jericho beats Mark Fletcher after a legendary 10-minute match, pal. Oh my God. Jericho's in the ring. He's holding his ribs. Jericho's overcome Mark Fletcher. And then Takeshita comes out and Taz is like, oh my God. And Takeshita walks out and points at Chris Jericho. And Jericho's like, I'm going to beat you next week. I'm just like, what are they doing in this company? I don't know. So that's my rant over, pal. I just think they've lost sight. They've lost touch. The main event picture and what they're doing with Swerve, I do like. It reminds me when I'm watching it, this is like WCW 2000, Swerve Strickland's Booker T. He's the shining light in a festering mess where stuff doesn't make sense. You're thinking, why is that guy getting pushed? Yes, like in WCW's 2000 case, we get to watch Hogan versus Lex Luger, they're big names like AEW does. Oh, we get to watch Moxley, John Moxley, Dean Ambrose versus Jeff Hardy. That's a great matchup, but
Right.
it's just the timing is so off. We don't need to see this in 2024. Swerve Strickland's a shining light. He's like WCW 2000's Booker T. That's how I was feeling watching it. But regardless, it's like, what am I watching? So that's my rant, Kevin. I don't know what you have to say on that. I watched a bunch of Dynamite, and I was not impressed.
I'm just gonna talk briefly for a moment about Chris Jericho's performance of the weekend's Blinding Lights on the Jericho Cruise. So I'll paint a picture for those of you who have not seen this. So Chris Jericho is dressed in a skirt and like a top. He's dressed as a woman essentially with high heel boots on, and he's wearing a red wig, so, a la the McDonald's clown. What's the name? Ronald McDonald. Chris Jericho is literally dressed as Ronald McDonald on
Oh
his
no!
cruise, singing "Blinding Lights." Um, it's honestly one of the most horrifying things I've seen circulate wrestling Twitter. Like I imagine that's what nightmares are like. Like that's what hell is like. Just an old man dressed as a clown, as a female clown, singing the weekend's music to me, like on repeat. Like that's what I envision hell is like. So, um,
Wow.
I don't even know like who paid. I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 to go on this Jericho cruise to listen to Chris Jericho sing "Blinding Lights." I digress. I'm gonna rant about something of my own. Go ahead.
Just one more thing while you mentioned the weekend before we get to what you have to go off on. The weekend's Gasoline is the WrestleMania 40 like theme song. I think that's a phenomenal choice for the song. Weekend now has had 5 straight WrestleMania themes. I think all of them worked for WrestleMania, bar Save Your Tears for 37. I didn't think that was a WrestleMania sort of song. I thought, I mean, it was, it's a good song. It's not a WrestleMania song. The other ones like Sacrifice, Less Than Zero, Gasoline, Blinding Lights, I thought have all been great picks. So yeah, it's gonna be a great WrestleMania. We're gonna watch Cody, screaming, crying in the face of Paul Heyman. You're gonna have Roman Reigns not showing up, and you're gonna have Gasoline playing over the video package as Cody's marching to WrestleMania like Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 5. You. That being said, pal.
Yeah, so I have to take a moment to address the merch prices for WWE because this is quite frankly egregious, pal. Nick Khan should not be allowed to get away with this. I understand there's inflation. Inflation is very real here. I understand. But you're already doing a record gate, pal. As Triple H dodged a question infamously about his father-in-law. It was like, I want to talk about the gate. Ooh. So you have a record gate in St. Petersburg. Record ticket prices, record ticket sales. Sorry. Uh, you're gonna do all those records anyway. Can you make the merch like reasonably affordable? Is that too much to ask, pal? Um, but like, so they have this like superstore set up. I had never seen this before. I've been to several WWE events. I'd never seen this. They were using the Tampa Bay Rays store, and they made it into a WWE store. So they had all kinds of shirts: the Usos, Rollins, McIntyre, Orton, Punk, all kinds of like Royal Rumble themed shirts, Tampa 316 shirts, like all kinds of Tampa themed stuff. And they had like stuffed animals and like action figures, Kane masks. They had all
Oh,
kinds of stuff, bro. License plates, shot glasses, everything you can imagine. I had never seen anything like this, bro. This was like the coolest thing ever. I was not paying any attention. I go to walk in because I'm just like, oh, I just walk in. The girl stops me. She's like, "There's a line, bro." So there's a line to get to the main line. So there's 2 lines. You got to get online just to get in line, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm standing in line like 10, 15 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, we're going to get in now. And the lady's like, nope, next line. That one starts over there. So it's like maybe like a half hour, 45-minute wait in line. Like, okay, cool. We got nothing else better to do. Got there like 6:30. So an hour and a half before the gate opens. So before the show starts, rather. So just waiting in line. Finally, I get to in the store. That my girlfriend's like, oh, I want this stuffed animal. This Roman Reigns stuffed animal. And she picks it up and she's like, oh, $50 for this? Oh. I'm like, I mean, if you want, I was like, if you want it, I'll get it for you. Like, how bad do you want it? I don't mind. Like
yeah.
we're here to commemorate. This is we're on a trip together. I'll commemorate it. She's like, no way. I don't want you to spend $50 on a stuffed animal for Roman Reigns. They had stuffed Pharaoh the dog, pal. Pharaoh the dog was going for like $40. Stuffed Pharaoh the dog. Um, They had hats, like a CM Punk hat was like $40, $45 for a hat. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. I could go on like fanatics.com and buy this hat for like $25. Like, this is nuts. I'm being
Mm.
taxed just because I'm in the building, pal. Like, you're making me tax you. You're not only that to drive 3 hours, 3+ hours to get here, get an Airbnb, pay for food throughout the day. Now I gotta pay a $15 tax to buy a CM Punk hat, to purchase a CM Punk hat, just because it's being sold inside of Tropicana Field. Are you kidding me? Um, Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, as everyone knows, I'm going to Elimination Chamber in about literally 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today, I'll be in Perth.
Right.
A friend of mine, the one who is like casual, but he watches wrestling, goes, "You'll be there. Can you buy me 2 shirts?" So he wants just any LA Knight shirt and any one of like the R-Truth Judgment Day shirts.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let's say you were going to the merch store, like you were in the superstore. Rough, like how much would that set me back?
So for one, bad news for your friend, I did not see any R-Truth Judgment Day shirts. They had the generic Judgment Day shirt and the Rhea Ripley shirt.
Mhm.
So I didn't see any R-Truth. LA
Okay.
Knight, they had like 3 different LA Knight shirts. You should be okay on that front. Um, yeah, so I got 2 shirts. I ended up getting 2 shirts. I got a CM Punk shirt for me, and I got her like one of the Royal Rumble generic ones. Like, I was there, pal, and it was like
Mhm.
$90.
And that's US.
Yeah, it was $90 for
Oh,
2 shirts.
oh my God, that's like $65 a shirt. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
$90 for 2 T-shirts. Um, yeah, the action
Oof.
figures were like $30. It was like a Dwayne. They had Dwayne action figures, pal. The Kane mask was like $30. I was like, bro, this is crazy. The merch is insane. Like, I remember when I went to WrestleMania 33, it was like $25 for a Hardy Boy shirt or whatever. Whatever you wanted. It was like $25. Um, Yeah, like $40 for a shirt that has a couple wrestlers on it that says Royal Rumble 2024. Are you kidding me? Or $45, I should say. It was $90 after tax. So yeah, it was like $43 for a shirt. Couple dollars tax. Ended up paying $90 in total for 2 shirts. Um, I was like, man, whatever. I mean, it's the price you pay. Um,
That's wow though. That's like because the shirt itself, realistically, if let's say you were just ordering that, like let's say it was on clearance on WWE Shop in like 5 months, you might pay $15 USD,
right.
and you're paying like 45 at the show to buy that's ridiculous. And yeah, it'll be the same thing in Perth, no doubt. I don't know if they can have like a superstore up the stadium. I doubt it. They're probably just gonna have like a big like merch sort of stand, which is gonna have like everything under the sun. I'll probably have to wait in like 3 lines, pal.
Yeah.
You'll have some WWE security executives who are like, okay, Jimmy, stand there. I'm like, okay, stand there for 15 minutes. No, now stand there. Okay, you're still there. Now stand over there. I'm like, I got here at 6 o'clock. It's nearly 7. I can't even get to the merch stand. What's going on?
Oh, it's
So
crazy. Yeah, and the price of food too. Let me go off on this for a
yeah,
minute.
yeah.
So, I got a pretzel and like 2 sodas. I want to
How much
say.
was that? $50?
Hold on. It was a pretzel, 2 sodas. Um, what did I get? Like loaded nachos and an Italian sausage sandwich. I think I spent like $80 on just that, bro. I could have had a nice dinner at like Ruth's Chris for like $150. $80, I could have gone to Olive Garden and gotten like dessert and an appetizer and like indulged myself in a great meal. You know, uh, I mean, ballpark food is like a thing in
Yeah.
America. Baseball, like you go to baseball stadiums, they all have different kind of food, but nobody cares about the Tampa Bay Rays. They're not even in Tampa Bay. They're 45 minutes east of Tampa Bay. Citizens of Tampa Bay don't even go to games because they don't want to drive over the bridge to go to the third most dangerous city in Florida, St. Petersburg. So the ballpark food was egregious at Tropicana Field. I got these generic like Philly cheesesteak nachos that were not good. They had like generic like the jar of cheese, like the Tostitos jar of cheese sauce on them. And I'm like I paid $20 for this. $20 for some nachos. Like
That's
whatever.
disgraceful. That's
Yeah.
a for the few Australians who listen to this show, that's like $30 for like a thing of nachos not even made well. That's so egregious, pal. It makes you really wonder, and I'm going to turn all this into a shot at AEW. It makes you wonder if they were a viable.
I love how you said that. I'm gonna turn this into a
If they
shot
were
at
a
AEW.
viable competitor, they could make sure these prices aren't so egregious. But WWE, Nick Khan are like, we're just the only game in town, really. Like, we're so clear of everything else. You got AEW's running shows in front of 2,000 people with babyface Chris Jericho wrestling 12-minute matches through allegations. That's happening at AEW. We can do whatever the hell. We can charge $50 Australian or like $40 USD, $35 USD for a stock standard I was there shirt, which is going to be on clearance in like 2 months for like $15 on the shop anyway. Like, it's in the nachos being like, I'm going to have the same experience. I already know. Like, I thought the price of my ticket was a bit how you doing. You know, I'm like,
How you
really?
doing?
Really? Like, it's a bit how you doing. You know, they're lucky this is like a once in a lifetime sort of thing because I don't imagine they're coming back to Australia for at least like 5 years, like a big sort of stadium show. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. I'm gonna have probably the same rant in 3 weeks. I'm probably gonna come on here for my reaction to the show and be like, yeah, Rhea Ripley faced Nia Jax. Yeah, they did an elimination chamber match. Yeah, Grayson Waller had a segment. The show was fine. I was entertained. It was a great spectacle. Kevin, they charged me $45 to buy a lemonade, pal, and a hot dog. You know, like,
Yeah, realistically, that's what you're looking at, bro. Like I spent like
oh,
$80 on 2 sodas, a pretzel, and 2 things of food. I'm like, bro, whatever. Um,
that's how that's out of order. Do you want to then